The shotgun blast echoed through the crisp autumn air like a thunderclap from hell, shattering the fragile peace of our backwoods Kentucky farm. I froze mid-step on the porch, my heart slamming against my ribs as the metallic tang of blood mixed with the scent of fallen leaves. Grandpa's voice, ragged and final, cut through the chaos. "Boy, that sinful life'll drag you straight to damnation. Don't let it claim you like it did me." That was the last thing Harlan Whitaker ever said to me, his eyes locking onto mine with a fire that burned hotter than regret. He slumped against the barn door, the rifle slipping from his gnarled hands, his flannel shirt blooming red like a cruel autumn rose. Asher, my Asher, the man who'd stolen my breath and mended my soul, rushed from the truck, his face paling to the color of the gravel under our boots. "Colin, call 911 now." But I couldn't move, rooted there by the weight of those words. The unspoken accusations that had simmered between us for years now boiling over into this irreversible moment. It wasn't suicide. Grandpa had been hunting rabbits at dawn, same as every Saturday since I was knee-high to a grasshopper. A misfire, the coroner said later, his ancient Remington jamming just wrong, the barrel too close when it finally gave. Accidental, they ruled it. But in that suspended heartbeat, as sirens wailed in the distance and Asher pressed a trembling hand to Grandpa's neck searching for a pulse that wasn't there, I swear I saw something else in his fading gaze. Not anger, but a plea. A secret clawing its way out, too late to save us both. The days blurred into a funeral haze. Black suits in the sticky heat of the Harlan County Chapel. Neighbors murmuring condolences over plates of fried chicken and cornbread that tasted like ash. Asher stood by me, his arm a steady anchor around my waist, but I felt the side eyes from Aunt May and Uncle Ray, their whispers like nettles. That boy's influence. Harlan was never right after he came around. Grandpa had called him Sinful from the start, back when Asher and I met at that dive bar in Lexington 2 years ago. A city transplant with California sun in his veins and a laugh that could thaw a winter freeze. Asher Kane, graphic designer by trade, dreamer by nature. He'd driven east on a whim, chasing roots he never had, and crashed into my world like a meteor. I was 28 then, still knee-deep in the family tobacco fields, wrestling with the ghost of a father who'd bolted when I was 10 and a mother who'd followed him into the ground 5 years later. Grandpa raised me, tough as hickory, preaching fire and brimstone from his King James Bible every Sunday after church. "A man's path is straight and narrow, Colin," he'd growl, his calloused hands gripping the wheel of our rusted Ford as we drove home from the fields. "Stray from it, and the devil have you for supper." I believed him, swallowed it whole until that night at the Rusty Nail when he slid onto the stool next to mine, ordered a whiskey neat and said, "You look like you could use a story that doesn't end in heartbreak." We talked till closing about everything and nothing, the way the Ohio River bends like a lazy serpent, the sting of small-town judgments, the ache of loving in silence. By dawn, we were tangled in his motel sheets, not in lust, but in that raw, unspoken hunger for someone who saw you whole. No labels at first, just two souls adrift finding harbor. But labels came quick enough. "Gay," I whispered to myself in the mirror the next morning, the word foreign and freeing. Asher made it easy, with his gentle touches and fierce loyalty, quoting Whitman over campfire coffee. We were together. I forget the rest. Grandpa found out 3 months in. I came home late from a weekend in the city, reeking of Asher's cologne and cheap takeout Thai. He was waiting on the porch swing, lantern flickering like an interrogation light. "Who's the fancy boy, Colin? The one with the ink on his arms and lies in his eyes?" His voice cracked like dry earth, and I saw the war in him, the love for his only grandson warring with the sermons he'd etched into his bones. I told him the truth, chin high, expecting thunder. Instead, he turned away, muttering, "Sinful. All of it sinful." From then on, it was a cold war. Shared meals in silence, his Bible thumping louder at night, my heart fracturing under the weight of his disappointment. Asher tried bridging the gap, bringing wildflowers from the roadside ditches, offering to fix the sagging barn roof without a word of complaint. Grandpa nodded curtly, called him son, once in a blue moon, but the wall stayed firm. "He's a good man, Grandpa," I'd plead after Asher left, the truck's taillights fading down the dirt road. "Loves me true." Harlan would just spit tobacco juice into the yard and say, "Love don't bend God's rules, boy. It breaks him." The funeral brought it all to a head. As the preacher droned on about eternal rest and the wages of sin, I gripped Asher's hand under the pew, his thumb tracing circles on my knuckles, a silent vow. But Uncle Ray cornered us after, his breath sour with bourbon. "This ain't the time for your lifestyle, Colin." Harlan wouldn't want his grave dirted. Asher stiffened, his jaw setting like granite, but I pulled him away before fists flew. We drove back to the farm in silence, the radio humming low with Johnny Cash's Hurt, the lyrics slicing deeper than any knife. That night, alone in the attic that had been Grandpa's sanctuary, dusty trunks of war memorabilia from Nam, faded ribbons from county fairs, I found the diary, tucked under a floorboard, its leather cover cracked like old skin, initials HW embossed in fading gold. I'd known about it vaguely, glimpsed him scribbling by lamplight as a kid, but he'd always snatched it away, growling, "Private thoughts, boy. Devil's playground." Now, with the house empty and grief a hollow ache in my chest, I cracked it open. The first entries were rote. Crop yields, weather logs, sermons jotted in Grandpa's spidery scrawl. 1972. Tobacco hit $1.20 a pound, blessing. 1985. Colin's first steps. Boy's got fire in him. But deeper in, the ink darkened, words bleeding into margins like confessions too heavy to contain. 1953. Met E. at the USO dance in Louisville. Eyes like storm clouds, laugh like summer rain.
Den sed till midnitt. Hans brushing accidental.
Ain't accidental no more. Elias. The name hit like a gut punch. Grandpa's army buddy from basic training. The one in the photographs I'd pored over as a boy. Two young bucks in fatigues, arms slung easy around each other, grins wide under crew cuts. Elias, with his easy charm and letters that arrived like clockwork during the war. Yellowed envelopes Grandpa kept tied with twine in a cigar box. I teased him once. "Your best pal, huh? Look at you two, thick as thieves." He'd flushed beet red, muttering, "War bonds mend different, Colin. You wouldn't understand." But the diary painted it vivid. Stolen nights in foxholes, whispers under canvas tents, a love forged in the mud of Korea and hidden like contraband. "E's touch sets me free." One entry read, dated 1954. "But freedom's a sin here. Preacher says it's abomination. Lord, forgive me, but I can't stop wanting." My hands shook as I turned pages, the attic air thickening with ghosts. Grandpa, the unyielding patriarch, had been us, hiding, hurting, loving fierce in the shadows. A creak on the stairs snapped me back. Asher, silhouette in the doorway, concern etching his face. "Colin, you vanished after dinner. Everything okay?" He crossed the room in 3 strides, kneeling beside me, his warmth chasing the chill. I thrust the diary into his hands, words tumbling out. He knew, Ash, all along. He knew what it was to love like this. Asher's eyes widened, scanning the faded script. "Holy shit," he breathed, tracing a finger over an entry about a stolen kiss by the Cumberland River. "Your grandpa." He was. We sat there till moonrise, the diary between us like a bridge over chasms we'd never crossed. But as the revelations sank in, so did the dread. If Grandpa had carried this alone, what other secrets festered? And how deep did his sinful label cut, even from beyond the grave? Dawn broke gray and unforgiving, the kind of Kentucky morning that clings to your bones like regret. Asher and I hadn't slept, huddled on the attic floor with the diary splayed open. Its pages a map to a Harlan Whitaker I never knew. He'd loved Elias with a quiet ferocity. Nights evading MPs in Seoul barracks, post-war letters promising a life beyond the farm if only they could go straight in a world that demanded it. But Elias shipped west after discharge, chasing oil rigs in Texas, and the correspondence dwindled. Last letter came yesterday. Grandpa wrote in 55. He's marrying a gal from Lubbock. Says it's for the best. Best for who? My heart's a hollow now, Lord. Hollow. Asher closed the book gently, his hazel eyes searching mine. This changes things, doesn't it? Explains the walls he built. I nodded, throat tight, the farm's silence amplifying every creak and sigh. Changes things? It upended them. The man who'd railed against my deviance had been its prisoner first. His hypocrisy a armor forged from pain. But beneath the shock stirred something tender. A bridge, maybe, to forgiveness. We bury him today, I said, voice rough. And this, we honor it. The graveside service was a sparse affair. Just kin and a scattering of field hands under the old oak that shaded Grandpa's plot. The casket lowered slow into red clay, preacher's words washing over us like rain on tin. Harlan was a pillar, unyielding in faith. Asher stood sentinel at my side. His presence a quiet rebellion against the sidelong glares. Uncle Ray hovered like a storm cloud, his eulogy a thinly veiled sermon. He lived right, by the book. No detours into darkness. I bit my tongue till it bled. The diary's weight in my jacket pocket a talisman against the bile rising. Afterward, the family gathered at the house. Potluck spread on the harvest table, ham and green beans steaming in the chill. Aunt May cornered me by the sink, her lace doily trembling in her grip. Colin, honey, with Harlan gone. You and that Asher boy. It's time to think on your soul. Her eyes, soft with pity, pierced deeper than judgment. I wanted to scream the truth, show her the ink stains of Grandpa's hidden heart, but the words lodged like thorns. We're family now, Aunt May, I managed. All of us. Asher diffused it with charm, charming her with tales of his abuela's tamales and offers to mend the church quilt. But tension simmered, bubbling over when Uncle Ray pulled me aside in the barn, whiskey flask glinting. Heard whispers, boy, that diary Harlan kept. Folks say it ain't for prying eyes. My blood iced. How? But Ray pressed on, face florid. Burn it, for his sake. Whatever filth's in there, it don't belong in Whitaker blood. Filth. The word echoed Grandpa's deathbed rasp, and I saw the betrayal clear. Someone had seen me with it last night, tattled to keep the family pure. I shoved past him, storming to the attic, Asher trailing like a shadow. Ray knows. I spat, slamming the diary shut. Someone ratted. Probably the maid or hell, one of the cousins. Asher's face hardened. That protective fire I loved igniting. Then we protect it. This isn't just words, Colin. It's your grandpa's soul laid bare. We pored over it again, piecing the puzzle. Elias's marriage a facade, Grandpa's own. A shotgun union to my grandma in 57. To silence the whispers, as he wrote. She deserves better than my half-heart. But the farm needs heirs. God, forgive this lie. Entries grew sparse after my birth in 61. Joy warring with sorrow. Colin's cry fills the emptiness he left. Maybe this is redemption. But shadows lingered. A 68 trip to Texas, vague allusions to old ghosts, and a bitterness that sharpened with age. Saw two fellas at the diner holding hands casual. Wanted to spit, then remembered. Sinful, they call it. But sin feels like home sometimes. By the 90s, as AIDS ravaged communities and don't ask, don't tell choked the military, Grandpa's scrawl turned venomous. World's gone mad, pushing this on our boys. I'll shield Colin from it. That night, with the house emptied of mourners, Asher and I drove to the river, the diary cradled between us on the dashboard. The Cumberland rushed dark and swollen, fireflies dancing like lost souls. We built a small blaze on the bank, not to burn it, but to read aloud. Asher's voice steady on the tender parts, mine cracking on the regrets. He was scared. Ash, I whispered, flames reflecting in his eyes. Scared of becoming me. Asher pulled me close, his lips brushing my temple. Or proud. He raised a man brave enough to live it. But peace fractured at midnight. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. A voicemail from Ray. found the rest of Harlan's papers, boy. Things that'd shame us all. Meet me at the old mill tomorrow alone. Or I share 'em with the county paper. Betrayal hit like a sucker punch. The rest? Letters? Photos? Whatever it was. Ray wielded it like a blade, threatening to exhume Grandpa's ghost for public sport. Asher paced the kitchen when I played it back, fury etching lines on his face. Don't go. We'll face him together. But I couldn't risk it dragging Asher down too. This is Whitaker mess. I clean it. Dawn found me at the mill, a rotting skeleton on the river's edge, mist curling like accusations. Ray waited in his pickup, flask in hand, a manila envelope fat with secrets. Knew you'd come, he sneered, tossing it over. Inside, Elias's letters, explicit in longing, a faded photo of two men, Grandpa and Elias, locked in an embrace that left no doubt. Harlan was queer as a $3 bill, Ray slurred. Kept it buried deep, but not deep enough. You think the church'll stand for that? Or the farm loan? Sign it over to me, Colin. Walk away clean. Rage boiled, but beneath it pity. For Ray, chained to the same hypocrisy. He was my grandpa, uncle. Loved hard, hurt harder. You gonna torch that for land? Ray's laugh was hollow. Family first. Always. I pocketed the envelope, walking away as his curses chased me. Betrayal from blood, deeper than any grave. Back home, Asher waited, coffee brewing like normalcy. I spilled it all, the letters trembling in my hands. His face fell, not in shock, but sorrow. It's evidence of his truth. We spent the day archiving it, scanning pages on Asher's laptop, sealing originals in a fireproof box. But as evening fell, doubt crept. Ray wouldn't stop. Whispers would spread, the farm slip away. And Asher? If it comes to choosing, he said softly, choose you. Always. That night, storm winds howled, rattling windows like impatient ghosts. I dreamed of Grandpa and Elias, dancing free under Korean stars, only for Ray's shadow to swallow them. Woke sweating, Asher's arms my lifeline. We'll fight, he murmured. But fight what? The past? Or the love it threatened to undo? The scandal broke like a fever by week's end, Ray's poison seeping into every corner of Harlan County. It started subtle. A sideways glance from the feed store clerk, a hang-up call at midnight. Then the Harlan Herald hit doorsteps Friday morn. Front page splash. Whitaker legacy tarnished? Late farmer's secret life exposed. Grainy photocopy of the Elias photo. Headlines screaming hidden sins and family betrayal. Ray's byline, guest contributor, he called it. My phone exploded. Reporters sniffing for quotes. Aunt May sobbing voicemails about the devil's work. Asher fielded the worst. His designer calm a shield as he blocked numbers and drafted a terse statement. Harlan Whitaker was a man of complexities. Like us all. Respect his memory. But inside it ravaged us. I paced the kitchen, fists clenched, the farm's ledger books mocking from the table. Debts piling since Grandpa's health turned, tobacco prices tanking. Ray wants the land, I growled. Thinks outing Grandpa force my hand. Asher nodded, jaw tight. Then we hit back. Truth for truth. We drove to Louisville that afternoon. The interstate a blur of billboards and regret. Asher's contacts, a queer history podcaster, a lawyer from the Matthew Shepard Foundation, rallied quick. Over diner coffee we plotted. Not attack, but illuminate. Frame it as reclamation. The podcaster urged, her notebook frantic. Harlan's story isn't scandal. It's survival. Generations of men like him silenced. The lawyer nodded, glasses glinting. Defamation suit against Ray if he pushes. But first, own the narrative. Back home, we digitized the diary. Asher's fingers flying over keys, turning Grandpa's scrawl into a timeline of quiet courage. Entries of post-war longing. Rights of stars over the plains. I stare at these hills, wishing for his hand in mine. Moments of joy stolen. A 62 fishing trip where the line between friend and more blurs sweet. And the pain. Elias's 70s death from cancer. unremarked in obits, buried in a letter Grandpa burned but chronicled. Gone, my anchor. World wins again. Recording it felt like exorcism. Asher read Elias's words, his voice breaking on lines of promised futures. Wait for me, Harlan. We'll build that cabin by the river, no hiding. I followed with Grandpa's replies, unspoken sent to the ether. Waiting's my curse, but loving you? My salvation. Tears blurred the screen, but so did resolve. We uploaded clips anonymously to a blog, Shadows on the Cumberland, dedicating it to men who loved against the grain. Ray struck back Monday, storming the farm with a deputy in tow, writ in hand. Foreclosure papers, he barked, eyes bloodshot. Your grandpa's loans defaulted months back. I co-signed, now I call due. The deputy, a kid from high school, looked queasy, averting his gaze from Asher lingering by the barn. Betrayal layered. Ray, Grandpa's brother, twisting grief into greed. You'd sell his soul for acres? I demanded, voice echoing off beams. Ray leaned in, breath hot. His soul was rotten. Yours too if you don't quit this. Parade. Asher exploded then, striding forward, chest to chest. Get off our land, Ray, or I'll make sure every queer kid in this county knows what a hypocrite you are. The deputy stepped between, but Ray laughed, venomous. Your land? Sign it over, or the bank's evicting by Christmas. He left dust in his wake, the writ a guillotine on the table. Nights turned siege. Reporters camped the road, flashbulbs piercing curtains like accusations. Aunt May visited once, frail under her Sunday hat, clutching rosaries. Colin, the shame. Harlan wouldn't. I cut her off, diary open to a tender page. Read this, Aunt May. See the man you mourned. Her lips moved silent over E's smile undoes me. Tears carving tracks. He suffered so? She left hugging me fierce, whispering, fight for him, boy. For you. But the toll mounted.
HRS freelance Gigdrid, client whispering distraction.
My fields lay fallow, hands too unsteady for plow. We clung in the quiet hours, bodies entwined on the porch swing, stars indifferent witnesses. Remember our first road trip? Asher murmured, fingers tracing my collarbone. Blue Ridge Parkway, that overlook where we vowed forever. I smiled faint, pulling him closer. Dancing in the headlights, no music but us. Romance in the ruins, kisses tasting of salt and steel, love a rebellion against unraveling. Climax crashed midweek, a rally unbidden. Word spread via the blog. Locals, queers from Lexington, historians converging on the farm. 50 strong by noon, signs waving, love endures, honor Harlan. Faces a mosaic of pain and pride. Ray arrived with cronies, pickup bed loaded with protest signs of his own. Keep Kentucky godly. Shouts rose, a powder keg, until Asher climbed the porch rail, megaphone in hand. This isn't war. This Harlan's story, yours, maybe. A man who loved, lost, and lived anyway. Silence fell, then murmurs. An old-timer stepped forward, Mr. Jenkins, neighbor since forever. Harlan fixed my tractor in '89, no charge. Said we all pull loads. Another, a young dyke with pink hair. My uncle hung himself in '95. Secrets kill. Ray faltered, face ashen, but snarled. Fools. All fools. He lunged for the megaphone. I intercepted, shoving him back. Fists flew. Rays connecting with my jaw, a crack like thunder. Asher tackled him, deputy hauling them apart as blood trickled warm. In the melee's wake, as medics dabbed my split lip, Ray spat on the ground. You're done, boy. Banks foreclosing tomorrow. But the crowd lingered, sharing stories. Hidden loves, buried pains, turning our yard into sanctuary. That night, bruised and bandaged, Asher and I tallied donations. Enough to cover the loan, scraped from strangers' empathy. Humanity, Asher said, awe in his voice. Raw and real, yet doubt gnawed. Ray's betrayal scarred deeper than bruises, a reminder love's fragility. As thunder rumbled distant, I held Asher tight, whispering, "What if it's not enough?" His reply soft against my neck. "It has to be. For Harlan. For us." Foreclosure dawned under a blood-orange sky, the bank's truck rumbling up the drive like Judgment Day. Suits alighted, clipboards in hand, surveying the sagging porch and overgrown fields with dispassionate eyes. Asher and I stood arm in arm, the crowd from yesterday thinned but fierce. 20 holdouts, signs drooping in the humidity. Ray lurked at the tree-lean, arms crossed, a vulture in flannel. "Sign here, Mr. Whitaker." The lead suit intoned, pen extended like a sword. My hand hovered, pulse thundering, visions of Grandpa's ghost fleeing these hills. Then salvation creaked in. Aunt May's old station wagon, followed by a convoy, lawyer's sleek sedan, podcasters van emblazoned with rainbows, even the Herald's editor, notepad ready. May emerged first, chin set, clutching the donation check like a shield. "Hold your horses," she declared, voice carrying biblical. "This land's Whitaker blood. We're paying up." The suit blinked, recalculating. Ray surged forward, face purple. "May, you in on this madness?" She whirled on him, fire in her widow's weeds. "Madness? Twisting Harlan's grave for greed?" I read the diary, Ray. All of it. "He loved like you fear, and it made him strong." Gasps rippled. The editor scribbled furious. Ray stammered, "Lies. Filth." But May pressed the check into the suit's hand. Full amount, scraped from family coffers, blog backers, even Ray's own estranged son's wire transfer. "For Harlan," she said. "And Colin." The suits conferred, then retreated. Foreclosure paused pending verification. Cheers erupted, hugs fierce and tear-streaked. Asher crushed me against him, laughter bubbling through sobs. "We did it, Colonel, holy shit." But as the convoy dispersed, Ray cornered us by the barn, eyes wild. "This ain't over. I'll sue defamation, inheritance fraud. You'll lose everything." His voice cracked, not threat but desperation. A man unraveling, his bigotry a crumbling facade. I saw it then, the echo of Grandpa's torment in Ray's rage. "Uncle," I said soft, extending the diary. "Read it. See what hiding does." He snatched it, flipping pages with trembling hands, landing on Elias's final letter. "If not in this life, Harlan, then the next. Unafraid." Ray's face crumpled, shoulders heaving. He, our brother, suffered. May joined us, hand on his arm. "We all did, Ray. Time to stop." He didn't sign anything that day, but left quieter, the diary under his arm. Word spread. Ray resigned from the church board, whispers of his own truths surfacing. A college fling hushed by fraternity oaths, betrayal's boomerang softening edges. With the farm secured, Asher and I turned to healing. We hosted Harlan's nights, porch gatherings under string lights, sharing stories of hidden loves. Veterans spoke of wartime bonds, farmers of barn dances that lingered too long. A trans kid from town read poetry. An elder couple, wed late in life, danced slow to Patsy Cline. Romance bloomed amid it. Asher sketching portraits by firelight, capturing faces etched with survival. Our love deepened there, not in grand gestures but quiet anchors. His hand in mine during storms, my head on his shoulder at dawn, watching mist lift from the fields. Yet conflict lingered internal. Nightmares plagued me. Grandpa's shotgun roar morphing to raise accusations, Elias's ghost fading unanswered. Am I enough? I confessed one midnight, tangled in sheets. After all this, for you, Asher's eyes, earnest in moonlight. You're everything, Colin, the man who chose truth over easy. That's why I love you. Fierce, flawed, free. Climax revisited in autumn's turn. A letter arriving crisp in cream envelope. Elias's niece, from Texas. Found your blog. Uncle E. Spoke of Harlan always, a riverman with hills in his soul. Enclosed, a deed fragment half-burned, to that promised cabin site on the Cumberland. He wanted you to have this legacy. We traced it to the spot. Overgrown but there, river murmuring welcome. Asher staked a plaque. For Harlan and Elias. Love's eternal bend. Ray appeared unannounced that week, sober, hollowed. Kept the diary, he said, handing it back. Read every word. I'm sorry. For Harlan. For you. No embrace but a nod, first crack in the wall. Farm's yours. I'll help with the fields. Betrayal transmuted to bridge, humanistic in its raw edge. As leaves blazed crimson, Asher and I walked the riverbank, hands linked. Think Grandpa's watching? I asked, pebbles crunching. Asher smiled, squeezing. Smiling, maybe. Finally free. Emotions swelled, romantic and redemptive. Love not despite the pain, but through it. But shadows whispered, the world's not kind always. A Lexington rally invite came. Share Harlan's story on stage. Fear nodded my gut. What if they twist it? Asher's reply steady. Then we set it straight. Together. Winter clamped down gentle that year. Snow dusting the fields like absolution. The rally loomed. Pride's fringe event in Louisville's waterfront park. Stages alive with banners and bass thumps. Asher and I rehearsed in the barn. Lantern glow turning hay bales to theater seats. I'd speak Grandpa's words, not mine. Entries of longing, laced with my own bridge to now. He called it sinful, I'd say. But sin was the silence, not the love. Asher nodded, pride swelling his chest. You'll kill it. Colonel Raw Truth always does. Ray helped unexpectedly, hauling gear in his truck. Gruff but present. Ain't my scene, he muttered, unloading chairs. But family's family. Progress jagged but real. Aunt May baked pies for the after-party. Her recipe card noting, for Harlan's sweet tooth and sweeter heart. Rally day dawned crisp. Ohio River glittering under January sun. An anomaly, but fitting for revelations. We arrived to throngs. Rainbow flags snapping, faces a tapestry of stories. Backstage, nerves jangled. Asher's hand my talisman, thumb circling my palm. Breathe, he whispered, lips brushing my ear. You're Harlan's grandson. Unbreakable. My slot hit at dusk. Spotlights warm on the mic crowd hushed as I unfolded the diary. Voice steady at first, then surging. My grandpa called love like mine sinful. Died with that word on his lips. But these pages, they sing different. I read Elias's vow. We'll build that cabin, no hiding. Pausing for Grandpa's ache. Waiting's my curse. Gasps, then nods. A man in the front row wept openly, clutching his partner's hand. Climax crested when I revealed the bend. Harlan hid to protect me, but protection became prison. Today we unlock it. For him, for us. Applause thundered, but deeper. Connections sparked. A vet approached after, sharing his own foxhole love. A teen wide-eyed, hugged me fierce. Thank you, I ain't alone. Asher pulled me off stage into shadows, kiss hungry and healing. Proud doesn't cover it, he breathed. You honored him. Us. Romance peaked there, under stars and strobes. Love not fireworks, but hearth fire, enduring. Back home, spring thawed secrets further. Ray confessed over fence mending. A 70s affair, buried under marriage and shame. Harlan knew, never judged. We cried then, uncles in name only, forging fragile kinship. The farm bloomed, community garden from rally donors, plots for queer youth programs. Asher designed logos, interlocking rivers, symbolizing Ben's unbroken. Summer brought the cabin build, volunteers hammering under July haze, laughter echoing Elias's dream. I laid the cornerstone, diary page sealed inside. Grandpa's final entry, dated weeks before the shotgun. We'd saved it for last, breath held. June 15th, 2025. It began, ink steadier than decades prior. Colin brought that boy home again. Escher calls him sinful, this old fool's tongue. But watching him, hands brushing casual, eyes speaking volumes. ICE, and me young and bold, hid too long, paid in loneliness. Colin don't have to. Tell him diary if I can't. Love ain't sin. It's the holiest fire. Burn bright, boy. For us all. Tears blurred, but joy followed. Truth softening the hardest heart. Grandpa hadn't died in accusation, but awakening. Asher read over my shoulder, voice thick. He knew, all along. We finished the cabin at solstice, river lapping foundation. That night, first fire crackling, we danced inside slow, to no music but heartbeats. To Harlan, Asher toasted with cider, and Elias, and us. Kisses deepened, emotional tide. Gratitude, grief, grace. Years folded forward. Farm thrived, a haven, workshops on queer history, potlucks blending bluegrass and bales. Ray softened full, dating a widower from church. Aunt May knitted pride scarves. Asher and I wed in the garden, under that old oak. Vows echoing Grandpa's unspoken. In bends and straits, forever. Betrayal scar faded to story, conflict to catalyst. Humanistic close. No tidy bows, but growth. Love's truth rippling, softening hearts one diary page at a time. Grandpa called it sinful once, but in the end it saved us. As the river bends eternal, so do we, resilient, revealed, redeemed.